You're good.
Good evening. Welcome to the November 14th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Teresa, if you call the roll.
Councilman Morelli?
Present.
Councilwoman Wallowitz? Here. Supervisor Barrett?
Here. No town board minutes to consider tonight. As far as communications and announcements, the town clerk, Robston, you put a notice in the paper, is that right? That town board meeting for November 21st is canceled. We have one of our 3 remaining board members that had a conflict for that evening. We will not have a quorum, so we're going to cancel that meeting. It's the 3rd meeting of the month, so typically that 3rd meeting is fairly light as far as an agenda is concerned. We did have one known item that would be considered that night, which we moved up to the agenda tonight, which is a simple item involving the acceptance of roadways. I say simple because it's paperwork, it's deeds, and it was something that would be coming forth before the board anyway. So we just moved that up a week to make sure that we got it done before December. If there's no further discussion on that item, our next board meeting will be in early December. Are there any other communications and announcements?
Yeah, just briefly.
Yes, Mr. Carlo.
We do have a public workshop on Thursday evening, 6 p.m. to go over the 41-acre parcel that is located on Riverview Road. It's meant to be a workshop to discuss potential plans for that parcel over the next year. It is something we've discussed numerous times over the past several months. We have included some allocation for that in the budget, so we'd like to get some public input and feedback on where we go with that parcel. The other thing I would like to bring up, which I think is equally important, is that we are taking letters for Santa Claus in the building that can be mailed or dropped off, and folks here will make sure that Santa gets those letters and that a response is given to those children that choose to submit them.
Yeah, we've been doing that for many years. We have a direct line to the North Pole, and so we are happy to be the conduit to get those messages to Santa as soon as possible, so that way the child sending the letter, or adult, in either case, receives a response in a timely manner. So it's a nice little thing that we've done for many years, and I love reading some of the letters. They're very cute. So, all right, so we do have a few resolutions for consideration. Teresa, if you could read through those, please.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a Saratoga County Trails Program grant award contract for supporting the restoration of a neighborhood connector trail in the Addison Estates and Settlers Hill neighborhoods, whereas the planning department has submitted a grant application to the Saratoga County Trails Grant Program for funding assistance to advance a project to rehabilitate and restore a multi-use path connecting the above referenced neighborhoods. And whereas by resolution number 309 of 2022, the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors awarded $10,000 to the town on a 100% matching basis. And whereas the town board supports the project and is supportive of the local match portion of this project, now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the attached grant funding contract with the County of Saratoga. A resolution authorizing the conveyance of quick claim deeds for property abandoned as Old Plank Road. Whereas on June 13, 2022, JTD Holdings, Bags Land Development, and Clifton Hospitality filed a petition with the town clerk, which petition sought an order of discontinuance of the Old Plank Road pursuant to authority granted to the highway superintendent under New York State Highway Law 207. And whereas on September 19, 2022, the highway superintendent executed an order of discontinuance for a 580 plus or minus linear strip of land constituting a user road known as Old Plank Road pursuant to New York State Highway Law 207. And whereas on October 12, 2022, the discontinuance map was filed in the Saratoga County Clerk's office, and whereas the petitioning parties have asked the town board to convey any remaining right, title, and interest in Old Plank Road as depicted in the discontinuance map attached, and whereas the discontinued road was a user road not dedicated to the town by deed, now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorized the conveyance of any remaining right, title, or interest in Old Plank Road or related real estate, if any, by quick claim deed attached. A resolution adopting the 2023 budget for the town of Clifton Park, whereas a public hearing was held on the preliminary budget on November 10, 2022 to obtain comment from the public regarding the proposed budget for 2023. And whereas the comments of the public have been incorporated into the proposed budget, now therefore be it resolved that the 2023 Town of Clifton Park budget is hereby adopted. A resolution accepting an offer of dedication of Emerald Terrace and related utility stormwater easements, as well as a conservation easement within the Diamond Point subdivision. Whereas pursuant to New York State Highway Law 171 and Section 179.23 of the Town Code, the Town Board has the discretion to accept the dedication of roads and the real property for public use. And whereas pursuant to the approved plans for the Diamond Point subdivision, Trojansky Custom Builders LLC has offered to dedicate a parcel of land described as Emerald Terrace as shown on Schedules A and B attached for highway purposes. And whereas the description includes various easements for utility and drainage purposes, as well as shown on Schedules C through J. And whereas Prime Engineering has completed inspections and reports that all punch list items have been completed. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board accepts the offer of dedication of Emerald Terrace as depicted on the approved subdivision map, as more particularly described in the relevant deed as listed in the attached deed and descriptions, subject to the final approval of the town attorney of all real estate transfers, draft documents, review of title, and confirmation of the payment of appropriate taxes.
Very good, thank you, Teresa. Any questions on the resolutions? Okay, if you could read the headings, please, and we'll consider each resolution individually.
Resolution number 273 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a Saratoga County Trails Program Grant Award contract for supporting the restoration of a neighborhood connected trail in the Addison Estates and Settlers Hill neighborhoods.
Second.
Okay, we've been working through this trail system in this general area now that it's about 20 years old, and we've been resurfacing a large section of it. There's one section left, and this trail grant will go a long way in paying for that resurfacing. We were able to secure trail grants for the other sections as well. So again, this is a connector trail in the Addison Estates and Settlers Hills neighborhoods. Okay.
I've actually been out to that trail, I think, in the last 2 months, and it's definitely in need of some repaving, restoration, so it needs it.
Yeah, we've done some work on it, but some patchwork, but it needs to be completely repaved. The sections that have been done came out great. As you go, the trails eventually meander through the oaks and through that area, and all that's been done, and looks great. So we just want to finish up this one section that's remaining. All right, further discussion. Okay, Teresa.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 274 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the conveyance of quick claim deeds for property abandoned as Old Plank Road.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tom, is there anything to add on this? I know we've been through a process with these roadways.
Not really. This is kind of a housekeeping operation. I don't suspect that the town actually owns anything over there, but as part of the arrangement that the developer had with the entities that own Peddlers and the Holiday Inn on the other side, they were going to convey the portion of the former user road to those entities on their half, on their sides of it. And those meets and bounds are laid out in the various, the three quitclaim deeds that are there. So this will give the parties in interest fileable documents with the county clerk that can then be used by the county offices to prepare new tax maps for them and let them complete their project over the former roadway.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll bring an end to this process, and I think it'll be a definite benefit for that immediate area of town. Any further discussion?
And this has been ongoing for a while, so I'm glad that we're finally able to get this finished in favor of the developer and the businesses over there.
It's good. It's a good project that'll improve that area of town.
Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallach?
Yes.
Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
Resolution number 275 of 2022, a resolution adopting the 2023 budget for the town of Clifton Park.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody that's been involved. The budget process is always a long one from start to finish, and the public hearing that we had last week leads to final determination, which we are considering this evening. I outlined in the beginning with the first cut of the budget that I presented a lot of the highlights. None of those highlights have changed. I'll just go through them very quickly again. The town will remain under the tax cap, and that's the New York State tax cap that has been in place for a number of years. We have never broken that tax cap, by the way. We will remain without a town tax, so there will be no general fund tax for the town of Clifton Park. We've had a DMS tax for decades. That'll be basically flat year over year and compares favorably from where it was even 20 years ago. Same with the highway tax, which is also very low and compares favorably from 20 years ago. Some of the, we did have ARPA funds as part of the budget. We've spent 3/4 of our ARPA fund designation on several initiatives, but it was a keen focus on infrastructure with the $3 million that we've spent so far. Initiatives in the sewer department, paving, stormwater, and also some technology upgrades here at Town Hall. So that has been the focus for the first 3/4 of the funding, with the remaining a little over $1 million. The budget has 130 for additional paving for next year. So again, more investment in our infrastructure, and funds to begin the process on a few different park improvements, namely safe and accessible access to the 41 acres along the river, and that goes hand in hand with the public meeting that Councilman Morelli just mentioned during our opening communications and announcements. That'll be occurring this Thursday. A splash park, consideration of replacing the playground on the common, and we do have a grant through the the assistance of Senator Tedisco to pay for at least part of the replacement of the playground on the common, and also pickleball courts. And so those funds that are in the budget are not going to cover the cost of all those items. However, it does allow us to begin the process of planning for eventual improvements and having some funds set aside. We also have $75,000 set aside for the Veterans Project on the Common, which I think everybody's familiar with that follows the town at all. There's a beautiful monument on the Common and the island between the parking lot at the soccer fields and the ice arena. So we'll be adding a walkway, sitting wall, and we're also in the process of selling bricks for $100, 6x9 engraved bricks. That's a great value because those bricks last many, many years, and it's a great idea for a gift for the holidays, in remembrance of or appreciation of a loved one, friend, family member that was a veteran or is currently serving. So there's $75,000. We had, and this year's budget, we had $75,000 in there as well. So that is a project we want to construct in 2023. We have $100,000 for general improvements on the Common, and if you spent any time on the Common, you saw a lot going on. The last big project we just did was replacement of the wooden fence around the perimeter of the Common, God bless you, as well as the chain link fence around the soccer fields. So that was a huge project, and very happy to get that done because it was sorely needed. We have $100,000 for town hall improvements, $36,000 for a new software package for the Parks and Rec department, which will not only be an improvement for the department itself, but the residents that interact with the department, and there are many. We have $200,000 for stormwater maintenance, $37,000 for Household Hazardous Waste Day, which will be coming up in September. I just released new information that since we started the paint and stain recycling program at the transfer station, we've collected 77,000 pounds of paint, stains, and coatings for recycling and or responsible disposal. But the contractor has picked up 77,000 pounds since May. So that's a whole heck of a lot of paint and stain that has made its way out of your sheds and basements and garages to somewhere where it'll get either recycled or disposed of properly. Interestingly, they take all of the latex paint and recycle it. Everything else gets disposed of. So they can recycle the latex paint and turn it into a product that's worth some money. So those are a lot of the highlights that I've already spoken about. None of those have changed. I didn't want anybody to think that we took any of that out of the budget. But overall, the budget is in our, as always, very conservative as far as our spending practices. It's very fair to everybody involved, certainly the taxpayers here in Clifton Park, the homeowners, the business owners. They will continue to have very low taxes when compared to our peer group here in New York State. And services are not only maintained, but will continue to increase in the way of additional improvements at our parks. So very, very pleased with the budget, and I think residents of Clifton Park will be very happy with it for all those reasons I just mentioned. Clifton Park is a popular place for people to move here. It's a desirable community because of the value that people receive. We all make decisions based on value. We shop where we think we will receive the most product for the least amount of money. Clifton Park is an incredible bargain for people that decide to invest. They have incredible services, programs for people of all ages, great services, vital services, and I'm talking about government services, and then vital services that are very close to home, namely healthcare. We also have a very successful Exit 9 commerce area where people shop every day. And like I said, the healthcare the healthcare resources in Clifton Park now are tremendous, and that's very important in many facets of our community. One, people can go to the doctor and get first-class healthcare very close to home, creates jobs for our economy, and people can work close to home. So overall, very vital services for residents close to home is very important. Shopping, healthcare, and general services. That's all very important to a vibrant and successful community. And when you see, you see houses that sometimes fall in disrepair, and there's usually a process that has to play out. There's usually, maybe it's probate, maybe it's foreclosure, whatever the case may be. There's usually a process that needs to play out in some court somewhere. But once that process has played out, you see people coming in, buying those properties and investing in bringing them back to life, refurbishing them in a very not very respectful way, but also in a very impressive fashion. And you see that in communities that are desirable, and places that are where people that invest can get a return on their investment. And you see examples of that from time to time, certainly in Clifton Park. Those properties usually don't last long. Once they go through a process, they're bought up and refurbished, and it's great to see. And that's what you get in a community that's vibrant. It's a great place for people to invest. Desirable community that somebody will want to live in that house once it is refurbished, and that's great to see. And those are the kind of maybe under the radar elements of a successful community that aren't spoken about too often, but I've seen many cases of that just in the last few years, and it's always very, as an elected official in a community, watching those rehabs occur frequently is a great sight, because that means that those are properties that will go from whatever happened, whatever might have happened with families or financial situations. That property went from uninhabitable to refurbished and a beautiful place to live again, and that's great to see. So that's where we are with the budget. And again, I want to thank Mark and everybody that had a role in this very long process, but very successful process. And
Yes.
will likely end tonight.
Okay,
So if we can, all right, we have a motion.
yeah, now can you talk about the CSA contract? Which is an important part of the budget. The employee raise.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Well, the attorney knows more about the CSA contract than I do, but there is a part of the contract with the union that unfortunately insists on pay raises to match inflation. Inflation rate hits a certain account, we are obligated to give a raise. And we were obligated at that point to give a 5.5 raise to our union members. At the same time, it was decided that we would, out of fairness, give the same raise to our non-union employees. So slight change, and I think, Mark, to the changes that we made Thursday night and getting them done so that we can have this document to vote on tonight. I know that took a little bit of extra effort when you were doing a college tour weekend, so thank you, Mark, for your extra effort.
Is he going back to college?
My son.
Oh, your son. Yeah, it's always good to go back and get another
College,
degree.
yes.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's interesting to think where we've come nationally in our economy over the last couple of years. A year ago, the inflation was supposedly transitory, as described by many federal elected officials, as well as the officials leading the Fed. And that certainly was not the case. And the policies that created the inflation in the first place were not only not stopped, but they increased the trends with those policies that began to inflate things and goods and services in our economy. So unfortunately, it's brought us to the point where I don't think anybody expected there to be 8%, an 8% increase in the CPI, which is just enormous increase in that inflation index. So it's been a terrible situation for American families. The other day, it was indicated that there will be no change in many of the policies that created inflation and exacerbated the price, the cost of service and goods that we're all experiencing. So it's a concern because following the midterms, it was stated that no, there will be no change in course. And a lot of it has to do with energy policies that are approved and are moving forward, both on the federal basis and in some states, New York certainly being chief among those states, pushing certain energy policies and goals for the next few decades. So to think that we would be at 8%, certainly not something I think anybody foresaw. We certainly expect there to be some inflationary pressures, but not to that extent. But that's the reality that we're living in, and like I said, it's just been a terrible situation for many families that cannot navigate that kind of a price increase in many goods for this long of a period of time. I mean, if you just look at basic things like eggs and milk and bread and just incredible increases, that places a great deal of pressure on our hospitality sector here in town, as well as obviously families across Clifton Park. All right, any further discussion?
Yeah, just not to, I don't want to be repetitive, Supervisor, but I do want to just briefly comment. I mean, for us to be able to put forward this budget in such a challenging economic environment is really a testament to not only continue to maintain the services, but to also add additional projects, investments, to be able to give across the board raises to all of our employees, even those that we were contractually obligated to. I think this is really a robust and fair budget. I thank Mark for his efforts, and I'm proud to vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, there were high-profile communities that utilized all of their ARPA funding to cover lost revenue or to fill gaps in their budgets. And because we are consistently conservative with our spending, which, of course, I say that every year because I believe it to be true. And I think after 23 years of doing budgets here in town, I think that has been the absolute result of our budgeting. But it's also been pointed out by Moody's many times, where they have consistently praised us for our conservative budgeting, and that's something we need to continue to be cognizant of during downward economic trends, and we're in one now. I was just talking about the Fed and inflation. Well, their cure for inflation is to basically kill demand in the economy, which they've been doing with every rate increase that has occurred. There might be more rate increases on the horizon, and they are effectively destroying demand and slowing the economy. And soon we'll see it in the jobs numbers as well. So it's a declining economic. We'll experience declining economic activity as a whole in the country. I think we'll see that in New York as well. But we're prepared to weather that storm because of the money that we've set aside over the years. We have a healthy surplus fund, and having annual budgets that are conservative helps in that effort. So we'll be in good shape here in Clifton Park, no matter what. All right, Teresa?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walaway?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 276 of 2022, a resolution accepting an offer of dedication of Emerald Terrace and related utility stormwater easements, as well as a conservation easement within the Diamond Point subdivision.
So,
Second.
All right, anything to add here, Tom?
Nope, as you mentioned, it's pretty routine. Once the deeds are reviewed and compared by MJ with the planning board's approvals, and the checklists are, punch lists are looked after by Prime, they're ready to go. This one is.
Very good. Any discussion? Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Morelli?
yes.
Councilwoman Walaway?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, any other business to come before the board this evening? All right. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Anybody that would like to speak at public privilege? Yes, sir. Come on up. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name is Tom Lill. Me and my cousin John Abley and brother Dan Lill own JTD Holdings, which was the second line item tonight. And I just wanted to say that, me and my brother Dan originally purchased the first foreclosure, which it was a foreclosure that we bought online on Old Plank Road in 2015. And then since then, we've acquired 3 additional parcels. And brought our cousin John Abley on board. And although we are just beginning our project, and we have no approvals yet, we are very confident in the future of this project, which we intend on doing apartments, and because of Clifton Park and the demand that is there. So it's tough to look at what, the cost of building nowadays and how
Right.
that's just gone up tremendously over the last 18 to 24 months. But, because of a town like this and the responsible budgeting that's occurred, it's still, the demand is still there, and we firmly look forward to the future. So
Right.
I just wanted to thank for the vote.
How'd I do in describing the arrangements, Tom?
Yeah,
Is that about it?
yes, it's pretty simple, and, that road has just been so challenging.
Yeah.
We spoke to the highway supervisor, I mean, they were getting the plow trucks stuck there multiple times a year, so it just provides us a little more flexibility with
Yeah.
arranging, the future project, so,
Yeah.
yes.
Good news.
Yeah, that specific area of town has been in need of some sprucing up, shall we say, for some time, and I'm glad to see it's happening. Not only in the area that you're involved with, but down on Fire Road as well. So it's coming along.
It is, and we bought the one foreclosure, the neighbor that we made arrangements to buy out, his was a foreclosure, so again, it was just back before the Northway, that street was a good residential area, but it's not anymore, and, the zoning change and the highway, discontinuance are really, doing the right thing for development in the area, so.
Yeah, when they built the Northway, just kind of cut that area right up.
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
You can see the rectangle that was there.
Was there, it went right through.
Yeah.
So, thank you for.
All right, thanks for coming by, appreciate it. Yes, Darlene, how you doing?
Darlene McGraw. I actually live not too far from that location.
Mhm.
I wanted to speak because one management company called Solomon has been monopolizing both the town of Clifton Park and town of Half Moon, and basically southern Saratoga County, and they have very poor management. Recently, one of their managers got caught just recently, and they got caught in some fraud or, got in legal trouble for not giving back their rents to their renters and stuff. And where I live, it's very poorly managed. It's really disgusting. It's not managed properly and stuff. And I don't live in the town of Half Moon, or I live in the town of Half Moon, not Clifton Park, even though I'm in a Clifton Park zip code. If I put my hand across the street, I'd be in Clifton Park. But I would be thrilled if I lived where this location is on Old Plank Road, because it's a great location. It's right off the main drag into every area that you can get to. You can take the Flex bus. It's easily accessible, and I am hoping the town would reconsider, other property owners and management owners, and also make sure that, there's affordable housing, because we all need affordable and accessible housing. And the other topic I wanted to bring up is security in the town of Clifton Park. There's been a lot of security issues that I'm not sure you guys are aware of. There's been not only people that are having their cars broken into, but there's a lot of different communities throughout the whole town where late at night, after hours from like 11 at night till 4 in the morning, where, you got these cars that are having people drive up through different neighborhoods and, peeking through different neighborhoods and stuff. I would try to figure out if we can have our security be later hours and stuff like that, because just the mere presence of being there can deter these people from actually doing something, having the vehicles be there, making sure, hey, we're here. Don't mess around with our neighborhood, because you want to mess around here, you're going to get in trouble, whether you're doing anything or not, because the mere presence of security sometimes can scare the crap out of people. But, those are just suggestions. You can take them or leave them, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Darlene, appreciate it. I saw you, dancing down the sidewalk at exit 9 area. Is your bike okay, or?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
I didn't, because it was gonna rain, so I didn't wanna,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw you walking, I said, oh.
I
Well,
was
actually,
singing in sign
you were
language.
kinda dancing though.
I was singing in sign language.
Oh, okay, yeah, it looked like you were dancing.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I hope her bike didn't break down. Yeah,
Still a vacation for the day.
good. John, did you have any?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Teresa?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Holloway?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.
Where's your son looking after college?
Yeah,
What's he looking at?
Yeah.
We went to St. Bonaventure